Welcome to MSP 1337. I'm your host, Chris Johnson, a show dedicated to cybersecurity challenges, solutions, a journey together, not alone. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of MSP 1337. This week, I'm joined by Jason Slagle of, CNRW. Did I get it?
You are.
Sweet.
You get it.
Got it.
It doesn't stand for anything.
It doesn't?
No.
Computer network.
We say computers never work right, but it's got a long storied history behind it that's irrelevant. It's one of those
We'll have
things
to do a whole episode on it.
Yeah, I thought about changing it at one point, but then it's like now people know us as that, so I can't. And it's a 4-letter domain name.
Nice.
Yeah. So
and that is hard. So this week, per your LinkedIn post about organization and strategy around things like your to-do, so I use these little to-do cards that I put on, and usually if it doesn't get done during the week, it then has to get moved into the digital space so that it's visual all the time. And the reason I wanted to have you on, since, well, for one, you haven't been on the show, but the conversation around to-do tasks, how we manage our calendars, and really that work-life balance kind of comes back to, which got me thinking about things like events and things that show up that we need to address. And when we are distracted or don't have time, or good time management with our 8 to 5, if you will, we tend to miss stuff, and we miss stuff that could have catastrophic consequences because we didn't plan or didn't have, the mental headspace to recognize it for what it is. So I thought I'd bring you on, talk about this a little bit, and we talked a little bit before the show. Walk me through sort of like, because you've tried it all. Like, you're the guy that should be doing like YouTube videos of like, here's why fill in the blank doesn't work for me.
I'll do that YouTube video once I find something that does work.
Sure.
I am self-diagnosed. I've never actually been diagnosed, but I 100% have ADHD. I check all of the boxes. It's been one of those things that that's a lack of a couple cognitive executive functions, right? Like that I compensate for with other executive functions that I lean on. And so I've been able to make it work, but it comes with the a bit of scatterbrain, right? It's like I'll forget to do things, and
Sure.
It drives my wife absolutely crazy because it's like, you walked by that thing 7 times. I'm like, yeah, it wasn't on my headspace to deal with it, so it never.
My brain didn't let me see it. Sorry.
Yeah. My mind and focus is elsewhere. So I've over the years tried a lot of things. I'm back to a Panda planner now. I have found that analog works better for me only because I force myself to write any tasks that I missed the day before into the next day. And eventually I get so sick of copying them day to day, I just do them. So I no longer have to do that.
I read this article about the sort of the art of using a planner or some sort of analog, and Remarkable and some of the devices out there that are like that bring that fairly close, at least as far as how our brain cognitive feels and senses that. But what was interesting about the article was talking about how it's less about you ever looking at that to do or that item ever again, that when you write it down on a piece of paper, your brain is recording it at the same time, saying, this is something that I have to get done.
Yeah.
And so,
yep.
So along those lines, like, we think about like our space that we live in, and this is really why I wanted to do this, because obviously it's a cybersecurity show, but like events and incidents that we have to respond to, those are not being written down on a piece of paper and put in front of us. And we're not the ones that are saying, oh, this came in, I should write this down as a thing I need to address. It's like I either am toggling, don't respond, this is false, or this is, if I'm actually doing it. But like, talk to me about, like, and you've been in this world as long as I have, like when we try to enforce things like, if it's not in ConnectWise, it didn't happen. And like drag and make sure your calendar is filled up and make sure you're putting those things on the calendar. And I look back now, and the one thing that I wished I would have done a better job is the art of pulling the things that I need to do into time slots on my calendar so that I'm actually committing to doing them when I drag them onto those time slots.
Yeah, I mean, there's that piece of it, right? Like I'm really bad at that. I had one scheduled this morning because my team, I don't do a lot of operational work this morning, but I'm in the middle of this very odd SCO virtualization project. And I'm the only one with the technical skills to do it. So my team keeps scheduling me. I was scheduled at 11 to work on it, or 10 to work on it for an hour and a half. I spent 10 minutes on it. My brain just doesn't, I don't need that. I don't drag stuff into slots on the calendar.
Sure.
What's more useful to me is I create tasks. I estimate how long I think they're going to take. And so if I have a 15-minute gap between my next meeting, because my life is meetings now, uh, I will try to select the most important task on my task list that I estimate will take 15 minutes, so I can try to just get it done during that time slot. And that's the thing. That's been the secret to me to unlock some of that stuff is uh, I suffer from analysis paralysis, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I've got all these things to do, and I spend 10 of my 15 available minutes trying to select the task I'm going to work on, and then I only have 5 minutes left to work on it.
Well, and isn't that the same challenge we have with like sort of death by tools? So, committing to using like say your Panda planner is the opposite of that. It's a
Mm-hmm.
notebook. You're either filling that one out or a different one, but it's
Yeah,
not really the art of the tool you're using is really whether or not you chose a number two pencil,
yeah,
versus a pen. Like, in the reality is that doesn't have really impact of
no,
any significance. So the tool side of this is where I think we struggle the most. And if you do a search on any of the app stores for planners, to dos, like you fill in the blank, there is, even just if you just left it at the free category, it's
yeah.
an infinite, mind warp of like you suddenly are locked in the twilight zone and you'll never leave if you're trying to
Yeah.
evaluate to dos.
It doesn't help that the most programming languages on the web, like the example applications they have you write, are essentially to-do lists. So
Yeah.
I feel like it's the first thing that a lot of people end up writing.
Yeah.
And so there are a multitude of options. And I the the most effective one I find is the one that you're going to use. It doesn't matter what it is, right?
That is a
Consistency is
brilliant
key there.
statement right there. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, start somewhere, be habitual
Yeah.
about it. So that brings us to the whole premise of having this conversation and
Yep.
having it be more than about the to-dos, and thinking about how we handle things like responsibility matrix, how we handle
Yep.
things like what is being assigned to us to investigate, how we handle things like email and Slack and Teams, because these are all communication mechanisms that go hand in hand with your Panda planner, or being effective at communicating what someone else might need to do as a result of what is flooding my inbox or flooding the alert boards that I'm monitoring. How has that, like, over the years impacted you? I mean, like, obviously you circled back to this state of getting analog with all of these external influences that are obviously
Yeah.
driving you bonkers a little bit, because you're like, hey, I need to do a better job of managing my time so I can do a better job of being, aware of what's happening around me so that I can be efficient with my 15 minutes in between my two meetings.
I mean, I'm not, what I'm doing can work, right? Even with
Sure,
nothing. What I'm trying to do is I I constantly remind myself of like, okay, how much more successful could I be, or how much more could I move the needle if I could utilize those gaps in the day that I spend wasting time to try to do it, right? So it's not so much a generally things aren't getting done.
sure,
We Because the important things somebody will of course remind me, and I'm what I lack for in planning, I tend to make up for in execution. So
sure.
like, I am an expert procrastinator and have the ability to crap out the solution right up to the deadline. But in many cases in cyber, that's not really a good help, right? There's
No,
so much stuff that goes into that. For the
it's the
team,
tactical versus strategic, right? In some
yes, correct,
cases, yeah,
100%, right? So
yeah,
like, let's talk about this. Let's reframe this into the topic of your thing. I would argue that left of boom, we're gonna mostly talk about strategic, and right of boom, it very quickly becomes tactical,
right.
right? So I
Everything's on
excel.
fire. I need a fire
Yeah,
extinguisher.
yeah. I excel there because those executive functions that I've had to use to make up for the fact that I don't plan well, they make me very good at the right of boom situation, right? Like, better, probably better than anyone else on my team. But I very much rely on, I mean, we're a ConnectWise shop, so we very much rely on processes and ticket templates and things like that to manage the left of boom pieces of this, right? We
Sure.
have tickets for things that RMMs are bad at patching, right? Like, your RMM will patch all your Windows boxes, but you also have network gear and phones and printers and all that other stuff that like most MSPs probably don't touch. And we have recurring ticket templates that pop. Oh, you're muted, Chris. Or I lost audio from you. Now you have to edit.
I don't have to edit now.
Okay, cool. Yeah, you're back.
I don't know what happened. It's the Yeti. I must need a new mic. I need another mic. I was just gonna say it really doesn't matter, right? Like if you do it or you don't do it, it's a question of whether or not uh I lost my train of thought. My mic stopped working.
Yeah, I mean, those are things that, right, like I think that we very much use, and we've gotten big enough now that we are essentially dispatched. We're a dispatched model. So for like the people that work under me, they fall into that boat of their day gets painted out by the dispatcher, and they work on the network device maintenance tickets, or they're working with customer X on trying to develop policy, or in the case of the thing you and I have been talking about,
Yeah.
it'll be hey, I need you to do this supporting thing so that when I go in for Trustmark, we're ready to go. Like, it's all of those things that line up. And on the so for my subordinates, the people that work directly under me, maybe not one level down, but definitely two levels down, they all live and die out of ConnectWise, right? It
And they all
manages
live and die out
everything.
of tactical, right? Like they literally everything that they have is assigned to do this thing, and you just keep
Yes.
going through the things until you don't have any more things, and then you ask for more things.
Yes, 100%. You usually don't get to the point of asking for more things because our
Because
dispatcher
there's
notices
plenty.
you're running out of
Mm,
things and she just assigns more things to you.
I
She's
got you.
off this
Yeah.
week, so it's like
Yeah.
chaos. Because these guys now have to self-dispatch and they're just not used to doing that. So yeah, so at that level we do that. Right of boom, oh man, that's tougher. It's
You can't be strategic when right of boom takes place. You have to be strategic in how you're going to address if right of boom occurs,
yeah,
which is
correct. That is
hard.
true. But there are things that you need to do, right? Like increasingly, and this is, I don't know, maturity on my part or less stupidity on my part. I am very much cognizant of risk profiles and things like chain of custody and evidence collection, and making sure, like, hey, let's a lot of incidents, when we declare an incident, right, and we have a couple a month, and a lot of them turn out to be false. But when we declare an incident, that incident gets a Slack channel, and we tell everyone that all the conversations for that incident happen in that Slack channel, and we move the conversation there because then I get time stamped evidence of what happened. If
Sure.
there is stuff we need to talk about that I don't want to be discoverable, I'll spin up a signal group. We'll set day or week disappearing messages on it, and those conversations happen there, right? And the thought and the idea there is that now I have a good timeline of the things that happen, because one of the things that I find out of this is it's very easy, especially for somebody like me, to just go in and fix the problem, right? Like, but the after the event, there's a bunch of other work, like the event and immediate recovery from the event is just the first 20 or 30% of the actual work.
Right.
The 70% is on the back end, when lawyers and insurance companies and people need paid back and like all that other stuff comes in. It used to be the case that you could just smash through that 20-30%. No one was filing with insurance. Everything
Yeah.
life went on and everyone was happy, right? But those days are, if they're not completely behind us, they're very soon to be completely behind us. So the chain of custody and all of the evidence collection and documentation of what you actually did is very important.
So going back to the initial LinkedIn post about what's in your to do and what's on your schedule, I mean, is not that exercise play very much into this? Because the reality is, if you can't pinpoint when, you don't have evidence to support the task completion, we're
Yep.
right back to this doesn't hold up very well when someone asks for proof.
Yeah.
yeah, if you're building a program and it's now done, well, yeah, obviously that you did at some point do that. The problem is I can't confirm the timeline. So like, where were you between the hours of 10 p.m. and 2 a.m.? I was working on the program. We showed that the program didn't get done until the following, Thursday. Like, so that's not holding up. So this kind of goes hand in hand with that. Like if you're in right of boom, everything has to be tracked. And
Yep.
yet, if you're not in the habit of doing something as simple as writing down what you have to do or the tasks that you have to complete, how are you going to do that when you're in a right of boom situation?
Yeah. Some of that comes down to the stuff you do left of boom is which I think you're driving at, right? It's like
Yeah,
for internally, we have an instant response plan for us. We develop them for clients too. The ones for clients in many cases don't end up as being as detailed as the ones that we
sure.
have, right? But it's like we do, I want to know in any event, it doesn't have to be cyber. It could be tornado, it could be fire, it could be flood, it could be cyber, right?
Yeah,
Like, what are my order of operations? What can
right.
you not live without? Like, what systems are required to do payroll? What systems are required for basic business functionality? So we start developing things like uh, bucketing systems into 3 levels of criticality, like
Yeah,
immediately needed, like very nice to have, and can wait till whenever, right?
yeah.
And
I
so
need my
you,
ghost powder, my Red Bull. Like, yeah,
yeah, yeah, you need it, in all else fails in a business when you have an event, the most important thing in the end, it comes down to, can you run payroll?
right,
Right? Because if you can't run payroll and you can't pay people, you will very quickly find you don't have any people and nothing else matters. Right. So
right.
it's things like that. Right. It's like, if you're a manufacturing company and you require, the HMIs and the PLCs to be able to produce your widgets, you better be able to get those. Like, those are pretty critical, right? There's no
Right.
business without. So it's things like that. And at the same time, right, it's like we also record in those documents like what the procedure are is to declare an incident, and then we use a tracking form internally. I think it came to me off of one of the CompTIA calls. It may have been the ERT. We Somebody shared one that I think it was Justin, the TechRug guy, shared one that he uses, and we adopted it, and it's a I have it in Cognito's form, and it's got like all the information about the incident, and then it kind of pokes people for the types of things we need to collect, and
Sure.
right, like evidence of
Like an exigence?
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, exigence turns that form into a platform, right? Like,
Sure.
we're still internally using a form to do it, but exigence is an awesome platform for that. But it also includes things like, documenting what initial access is, right? So that you're
Yeah,
sure that you actually have it. Because I have seen multiple times, and we've had customers that'll come in for just like a 1 hour prepaid booking. Like, that's the thing you can buy on Lawrence system site. And they've had an incident and they want us to help restore backups. And so we caution them every time. We're like, you need to make sure you got the guy before you go restoring backups. And
right.
more than once, they're
Because then
like,
you have
oh
to
no,
keep
we
going
got it.
further back.
Oh yeah, we got it. We got it. We got it. We restore backups, and then the threat actors come back in. They're still in the system. They wipe it, and they wipe the backups now. So now you're
Yeah,
totally screwed.
yeah,
All of those things matter very much, and we record in our instant response plans, and the incident tracking forms, what those expectations are as far as the high level tasks that need to be completed, and then it's very free form. Like, we will create a ticket for the incident, but like a lot of that discussion happens in real time in Slack in the incident channel. So that, like, I'll note, okay, I did this, right? And I don't need to write up a huge policy or paragraphs of information about the fact that I did X. The fact that I did X is noted in the chat, and that alone is we're in the post incidents world, and we're basically creating a report for it. We can go back and look at that timeline, and then the I did X is usually enough to jog memories to say, okay, well, now I can go back and provide a little more color and context on what that
yeah.
was.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, like it's funny. I struggle with my to-dos, and it really wasn't the point of why we should have this conversation. It was more of like thinking about the fact that if I don't do a good job keeping track of the things I'm responsible for, how am I ever going to do a good job of tracking the things that impact others that I'm also responsible for if I don't have good habits in place? And I think to your point, when you have others that help facilitate, Jason, it's time for you to execute
Yep.
because your number's been pulled and it's your turn to, take over the controls. Well, that's a whole lot different than having to be more of that strategic on your own. And I think this probably resonates with a lot of the smaller MSPs that subscribe to this is like, well, I am the person. Well, now your to-do lists and the things that you are putting on your calendar, the things that you're having to keep track of, the way you use an incident tracker or otherwise, these are all building blocks. And if you don't start with some of the easier items, I don't know about you, but like I can do these to-dos all day long, even if I never fill them out, right? Like even if I never hit completion. But when it comes to something else happening and I don't have this habit in place, I'm just working from one thing to the next as it
Yep.
gets put in front of my face.
I will give a piece of advice, which is we are we're not a small company. I mean, I'm 25 employees hiring, well, 25 and a half. I have part-time bookkeeper hiring my 26 right now, right? And uh 7 years ago, I'm thinking back, probably no, probably 6 years ago, back when Pokemon Go first came out and was like the hot craze, right? We were busy and bigger, but I probably had more bodies than I did work in many cases because it was more of a traditional consulting model. So it was real fits and spurts. And the biggest single regret I have now is that I took the mindset of we'll invent that process when we need it, or we'll improve the discipline around that stuff when we get there. And I wasted so much time that could have been used to build those building blocks back then. And what happens is some event takes place and you suddenly get a lot more work and now you're super busy and you are too busy to develop those processes and you really really need them. And it goes
Yeah.
back to my planner. When I don't use my planner is when my day is so busy that I could benefit the most from the planner,
Yeah.
but I don't use it because the mental head trash of, oh, I'm too busy to spend the 20 minutes at the beginning of the day to fill it out. When is if I did and I had the discipline to do it, it would have made the day better. So don't defer that work, right? Like go through and start putting those processes in place, even if it seems like a waste of time now, because if
Yeah.
you're successful, you will 100% require them later.
So just to ask a question, because I know this is how I sometimes will look at either the day that is coming or in retrospect of the day. And if I have a full calendar, which often, I have a couple days a week that are usually pretty full with meetings, I'm like, man, I did a lot today. I might have done very little that day, but
Oh
I've
yeah.
defined my,
Yeah.
productivity by the number of meetings I attended. Um, which goes back to because those are things that I'm trying to associate as tasks.
Yeah, I can't. I actually view the days that I'm meeting up as like my least useful days because of my
Gotcha.
brain. The other work is still the work. When the reality of it is I live in more in your world now that the work is the meetings.
Right.
So yeah, it's tough. That's definitely a tough mental headspace. I think either direction
Right.
that because I'm also meeting up a lot and I decline a lot of meetings because of it. But there are many days, especially Fridays. For some reason, like every company in the world seems to use Friday as their advisory call day or
Yeah.
meeting day. I think I have a
Thursday
couple with
afternoons and Friday
CompTIA.
afternoons. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's bad. So my Fridays are usually shot. I usually work from home on Fridays because of that. It's like I'm just gonna sit in meetings all day anyway, so I might as well be at home.
Yeah, it's funny. So I had a couple thoughts that came to mind for me. So if anybody that uses like I forget what it's called. It's in 365. It's like it manages like how you use time and it looks at optimization for areas where you can like block out so you can focus on different things.
Yeah.
So like I have a focus time
Yep.
that happens in the morning. And what I have found is that for the most part, I've gotten pretty good at using focus time for like checking on, what's new in cybersecurity, some things like that. But I also have found that if someone needs to book time with me, I'm willing to give that up. And I was
Yep.
thinking about that yesterday after reading your thing, and I'm like, hmm, that I should be a whole lot more reserved about that ever being infringed upon because man, my day is set based on how well I use focus time. So I
Yeah,
guess my word of advice to people would be like, take the time, whether it's before your day starts. Like I know people are like, well, I'm not gonna, I mean, if I'm not getting paid, I'm not gonna start until 8, whatever, fill in the blank time. It's like, yeah, but like, what about you? How do
yeah.
you get into the headspace that you need to be in for whatever it is, going home or going to work, and taking the 5 to 10 minutes to go, all right, looking ahead, this is what I got to get done today,
Or
and
do it the night
being
before.
specific or that.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
this isn't necessarily about the work you're going to do. It's about you being in the headspace
Yep.
to be successful in your job.
Yeah, if you read like David Allen's Getting Things Done, right? Like he advocates, next action and all that things. And one of the things I've read a lot of people do is, you know, one of the things he advocates is getting it out of your brain onto paper because then you don't just the cognitive load of constantly, refreshing it, thinking your
Yeah,
memory like RAM in a computer, it needs constant cognitive refreshing and that takes cycles, right? So you put it into permanent storage, you move it to your hard drive, like your
right,
panda
right,
planner, and then you don't have to constantly refresh in your brain anymore.
right, right.
If you can do that the night before, then you sleep better because you're not constantly refreshing it at night or thinking about it or
Like, what
things
do I
like
have to
that.
do? What do I have
So
to do? I should just go back to
yeah,
the office
yep,
because work
it's
from home really violates that model, right? Like you're not like
yeah,
checking it at the door, but if you're not ready for the next day, then your brain is still at work, even though you are
yes,
not.
yeah, 100%. So that's another piece of advice too is just get that stuff onto paper, get it, or it doesn't have to be paper, it could be whatever digital planner here is,
I
but
think we should just say
give
it
thought.
needs to be on something paper-like.
Yeah, that's fine. I can do. Some people do fine with the digital. I take notes by hand a lot of times and I literally never ever read them or refer back to
Yeah,
them, but just the
the
act
commitment,
of
the
yeah, the
exercise.
act of writing it down means one, I have to pay attention. That's the biggest thing. You can't No one multitasks. It's bullshit. Sorry if I
Yeah,
swore on your thing. I think I made it this far without swearing.
yeah, you did a good
Uh
job.
no one multitasks. So I think I can multitask, but I'm not. And I find myself having to ask people to repeat themselves. If I'm taking notes on paper, I cannot. I can't be over here reading Slack or over here looking at my
No,
calendar or over
no.
here. I have to be focused on the
That's when your
conversation.
pen wanders and it looks like a bad EKG.
Yeah.
So it's
So
funny you say that. So I would say the person, if I was to ever like who's the model that you would use for note taking? I would immediately say that would be Alex Spiegel. Like if you've ever seen her take notes
I have
and
not.
with the color coding and like the multicolored pens and like we're talking like in a
Yeah.
category like I would need a
Yeah.
legend to look at every 15 minutes. Like, is this where I use the purple pen? Like I would struggle. But what I have found is that if I ever need anything that I've been in a meeting with Alex, she can get it and it's there in like 2 seconds. Like,
Oh
hold on,
yeah.
I have that right here. It's in binder B and call, yeah, like it's I have the answer. And it's there right away. So
I
um
do not have that ability.
I do not. Maybe we should see if Alex can do a workshop at a CompTIA event on how to manage tasks and the notes for action items. Maybe that's what I need for our working group is someone to take better notes than me. No, I think we're doing all right there. So, any last things, Jason, that you'd like to share with the audience? I mean, I think this is really good. Like we tied the ability to manage our own to-dos as a model for how we handle things left and right of boom.
Do something and stick with it for 21 days before you decide it's not working, because it takes 21 days on average to form a habit. So if you don't stick with it for that long, you don't know whether it's not it's actually working. So don't take a really fragmented approach to trying something for 3 days. It's not working. Try something else for 3 days. Pick something and stick with it for 3 weeks, and then assess it.
Well, and just think about your cost per day, right? So the Panda
Yep.
Planner, what was that like 30 bucks? So 21 days.
Yeah,
I mean, you do
it
the
was
math, it's a
20, I
couple
think.
dollars a
Yeah,
day. Yeah.
it's not even that because it's 90 days worth of planner, right?
Well,
So
no, I'm just saying if you're only committing to
yeah,
21 days,
yeah, that is true. That is
like
true.
you're like this isn't a significant cost if
No,
you're
it's
committing to
not.
21 days of the exercise.
Yep.
I love
So
it. Jason, I appreciate you being on the show. I appreciate all your work with what we do over at CompTIA. For those of you listening, this has been an episode of MSP 1337. Thanks and have a great week.